The Weeknd's hit show, The Idol. It was originally scheduled for about 8 episodes? Am I correct or am I wrong?
6 episodes.
6
It
episodes.
went down to 5.
It went down to 5.
I guess the main problem is that it's just bad.
It's bad.
And yeah. And so I haven't watched the show. I've been watching people react to it, which is how I highly recommend. It's so much more interesting that way. Because from what I'm hearing, it's actually really boring, even though it keeps getting talked about because of these scenes. If you take the scenes out of it, it's actually not there isn't really much there. So you can waste an hour or however long it is to watch that show, or you can just watch a YouTuber talk about it. It's much more interesting and fun. Basically, what they're saying is yes, is it over the top in terms of the way Lily Rose Depp is being depicted in it and the things that they're doing? Probably, yeah. But also, this is stuff that people are probably watching on their own times on certain sites and stuff.
Yeah.
So it probably isn't that shocking for those folks. Basically, in the first episode, Lily Rose Depp wants to show all of her boobs in a photo shoot. And the intimacy coordinator is like, no, you can't do that because it's not in the contract. And she was like, well, it's my body. I can do what I want. And they're like, no, legally, we can't do this here. We would have to redo their contracts and stuff. And her team locks the intimacy coordinator in the bathroom and she takes the photos with their tits out. The show's perspective is that intimacy coordinator bad. That's what they're trying to say. Either way, I think that's really weird, especially because Sam Levinson has used intimacy coordinators on Euphoria. That's been a huge part. Every actor who's had to be naked or do any sex scenes on that show has talked about how important that was for them to be able to do that. So, what is he actually saying? It doesn't make any sense. He doesn't make sense. He is always the issue when actors do nudity in shows and sex scenes to a certain degree. But you don't have to be nude to do sex scenes. So, if you're doing nudity and also doing sex scenes, their comments are always either I didn't have a good experience or I had a good experience, but when I was out in public or whatever, someone was commenting on my body, right? Which is weird because you're not acting. So this is just you, right? And someone's talking about how they saw your dick or how they like your tits. That, people will come up to you and say stuff like that because you've shown that on screen. Is that right? Obviously, no. But again, you don't have any control on how it's received once you do it. People could take anything out of context. But in Emilia Clarke's point of view, I know she gave an interview when she talked about this and she said people were asking me to do other roles which involved nudity and I didn't want to do that because I did it for that role because I felt like it was necessary, but it wasn't. I'm not the girl to go to if you want someone to be naked on screen. That's not what I want to be perceived as an actor. Her experience was terrible. First of all, why did Jason Momoa need to say anything to y'all? It's your job to protect this young actor. This is their first role on a huge network television show. Y'all should have stepped up and been someone should have had a robe for her somewhere. She should have never just been out there while cameras were not rolling naked. There's no reason that should have ever happened. The fact that she had that experience, to me, it's just so exploitative of the producers and the directors and the networks who ask young actors, because it's always very young actors, when this is their very first role on television, it's always that. Yeah. Sydney Sweeney, same deal. Young people being on screen naked, it's this is their first thing, and it's always a big show. So what do you think that they're gonna say? This is their opportunity, and I feel people are taking advantage of these young actors and being no, it's fine, we'll have people on set, this is empowering. And again, harkening back to what I was saying earlier, you have no control over how it's received. So even if you feel empowered while you're doing the scene and you feel safe doing the scene, once you step off that set and it's out in the world, anyone can say anything to you. And also studios can perceive you as a certain type of way and what might only offer you certain kinds of roles, which limits you as an actor. To me, the cons outweigh the pros in terms of doing scenes like that, because it's just it's so out of your hands in a lot of cases.
That fear that Emilia Clarke had of being the actress who does nude scenes, that's what happened to Brooke Shields for a large part of her career. She was the actress who did nude scenes.
And when I was watching her documentary, it's funny that she was having the conversations with her daughters about it. and she still was trying to like unravel if it was actually bad or not. Like, that's what's crazy, is like it took her how many years to figure out that that might have not been okay. She's still like unpicking what happened to her back when she was like not even an adult, because she wasn't an adult.
She was like 17 in Blue Lagoon. So
she was doing nudity when she was younger than that.
Yeah, before that. Yeah.
Which is outrageous. Like, I couldn't even imagine that happening now. It wouldn't happen now. But like, the fact that happened at all is insanity to me. Like, that is so crazy that she was a literal child. Anyways, the industry is so exploitative of young women. I don't think that The Idol is helping it in any way. I don't think that this is any type of liberation. I'm sure Lily Rose is fine with it. She seems like she doesn't care. It's not even about her at this point. It's more about like every other actress like who may or may not have to do something like this. Not even girls, but guys too, like transgender, doesn't matter. Like, the industry needs to stop putting young people in this position and not really giving them a choice.
And Lily Rose, honestly, she's playing a hyper parody of a pop star. But she essentially, if you look at it honestly on the show, she is a victim of that very same issue.
Levinson and everybody else who are making these decisions are just like using her as a tool for whatever they feel like doing. That's what's so gross about it, because it's like the deception of like, this is your choice. Like, you're choosing to do this, and it's fine.
And it's funny that the one doing the most talking about what the show isn't is the person not being depicted in such views, which is The Weeknd. He's been very competitive with the press and critics and the general public on the reaction to the show. Did you like that clip? Well, you can listen to the entire podcast because the 16mm Film Crew podcast is available on all major podcast platforms.